So this is another edition of the Heel to the Face podcast. I'm Jarad.
I'm Brandon.
And you're probably sick of seeing my face. I think it was like 5 straight days of video. So we're back in studio, joined with Brandon. The post-WrestleMania edition of the Heel to the Face podcast is on now.
Fans celebrate with me from Rome to Rochester.
Bad luck seems to be my middle name. They might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
So back from Dallas, back from Arlington, back from Texas, and back from WrestleMania, posting all the way up until actually yesterday. I flew home, posted a video from the airport and everything. Thank you for everybody, not just on YouTube, but on Twitter. So if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this podcast, thanks for anywhere that you follow us, whether it be Twitter, YouTube, however, for engaging all weekend long. I did my best to post as much as I possibly could from WrestleMania weekend. I like The Undertaker, I guess. I'm 3-0, but I guess you'd say it's 0-3. For having WrestleMania going down without a hitch, I guess, in the last 3 years. So obviously 2020, we know COVID, had plane tickets that got refunded there. So I bought plane tickets, did not fly on that plane. Last year, we had a story for that one, bought plane tickets. Long story short, the plane tickets I bought did not fly on that plane. 3-0, happened again this year. Showing up it was about 2 hours before the plane is scheduled to leave, I get a message that my plane has been canceled. Not delayed, canceled. So American Airlines tells me that your plane has been canceled, some sort of issue with too many planes in the sky today. But we will be flying to Dallas on Monday, sorry.
Wow, perfect.
If you'd like to go on Monday. That did not work out for me. So at the airport.
Did they not realize that it's a WrestleMania weekend?
And I had to get, it was Friday morning. I was scheduled to leave like 5 a.m. And I'm like, I have to get there today. And there was one flight left leaving Syracuse. I mean, now we're talking, it's too late for me to do anything else. It's the day of. I can't drive there. It's a 24-hour drive.
Yeah, not happening.
JetBlue says, we got 2 seats available going to Dallas. And then, I mean, Delta, everybody else is booked. Even other nearby airports are booked. Like, can I get to Rochester? Syracuse, they just said, JetBlue just said, we got 2 tickets. Hopefully, I'll say long story short, I'm working on it now because I talked to somebody who's more familiar with the situation who says that they are obligated in certain circumstances to reimburse you or to cover flights by non-affiliated, I guess. So I took American Airlines. Yeah. And I ended up taking JetBlue down. They said that they could possibly do it even though it wasn't American Airlines. But right now I'm at $1,000. But
that is not a way to start the vacation.
That is not a way to start. And then what was a nonstop flight that was getting me there at 8 a.m. was a flight to Boston, and then a flight from Boston down to Dallas, which is like 5 hours because you're talking the Atlantic Ocean down to the Gulf of Mexico, essentially, right? You're talking a coast to coast. It was like. And it might be the longest I've ever been in a plane because I have flown from Chicago to L.A. and stuff, but you're kind of going New York to Chicago to L.A. and you're kind of breaking it up a little bit. And Chicago to L.A. is about 3.5. But from Boston to Texas was like almost a full 5 hours.
Oh,
because you're going from, again, I remember looking on the map as we're coming into Dallas and realizing we've been on the plane for an hour and a half and we're only just passing Syracuse again. Like we're coming back this way. Because we had to go out to Boston to get a flight. But it was cool when we got to Boston. The flight was full of WrestleMania fans. And WrestleMania weekend in the books. One thing is I told you when I was down there, because if you don't follow the show, you know that Brandon is a big Dallas Cowboy fan. Now, I am not a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Unfortunately,
I do like the Dallas.
You're not perfect. It's okay.
I do like the area. I did enjoy myself down there.
It's a great place.
So I promised him, I got him a souvenir cup. So they had souvenir cups for, in the arena. You can get either Dallas or WrestleMania cups. I bought the WrestleMania cup at the store separately, just in case they didn't have them at the stadium. Because sometimes they don't do that. Now they sell them as souvenirs, and then you get to the stadium, they don't actually physically have them. But I got a better souvenir, so I'm going to give you the cup.
Oh man! Oh, we're doing this right now on the show.
So I got the Dallas Cowboy Cup, and it's an official Dallas Cowboy Cup because I've never heard of any of these guys. These aren't the Tony Romo's, Ezekiel Elliott's.
And here's the best part: one of the guys is no longer on the team.
But night number 2, there was a better souvenir available, and I got that here. He doesn't know about this one yet, but I thought this is really neat. I even got one for myself.
Oh wow!
As a non-Dallas Cowboy fan, I thought this was still even cool. So this is what I got. I got a here. Let's show. a mini AT&T Stadium that's a bowl. Like, pop this thing open. It came with popcorn, but like,
wow, dude.
You can have cereal out of it. You can put some chicken tenders in there.
Wow, wait, this isn't all for me, is it?
That's for you.
Wow, what you got me both?
Yeah. And I got myself one as well. Don't worry.
And here's the thing, and he's out $1,000. He's still bringing gifts. Hey, what a guy here! What a guy!
Some stadium souvenirs.
Awesome.
The show that I truly was at AT&T Stadium this past week. So WrestleMania, 2 nights. Definitely the best 2-night WrestleMania thus far. Which seems to be, as we've learned, going forward will be 2 nights going forward. I'm still not a fan of 2-night WrestleMania, but I will say,
even if it's done the way they did it.
Here's why, and we started talking about this already, because AT&T Stadium, as we talked last week, stadiums are a big deal. And it's a process. It was another day of getting out there and just dealing with the mass amounts of people 2 days in a row. Next year when it's in LA, Inglewood is not close to downtown LA. And if we're trying to do fun things in LA, it's going to be tough because it essentially takes up 2 days. I mean, it's going to take up your day, and it's even worse on the West Coast because WrestleMania is going to be starting around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it starts 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to want to get there because it's a stadium, and we're talking it's not near downtown. So if I'm staying near downtown, leave the hotel downtown or the area down 2 o'clock. We're going to want to leave at 2 o'clock.
So get brunch and go.
See, exactly. Get brunch and go. And then by the time you get out, it'll be 8 o'clock, which is early. But again, we're talking stadium traffic. So this isn't 8 o'clock. I could just be in Las Vegas and hop to a casino or 8 o'clock back to LA with traffic. It's going to be 9, 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Oof.
So it's going to be nighttime typically the same. Even though it's getting out early, it's still going to be 10 o'clock by the time I get back to the hotel.
Yeah, it's a full day.
Yeah. And that's if it gets out at 8. Because again, probably maybe gets out at 9 because 9 o'clock is close to midnight Eastern time. So yeah, by the time I get back, it's going to be midnight Pacific time.
So how was it? I mean, how was the traffic for Dallas?
It wasn't the worst. I know my way around. I'm going to let you guess here. So the stadium parking was $60 with VIP being $80 each night. I'll let you guess how much each night I paid for parking.
$0.
$0. I paid $0 because I know how to maneuver the map around and find the downtown Arlington parking that is in the inner city parking.
You don't have to give away your secrets, but I have a few ideas.
Yes. So I didn't. So I found some street parking, which is hard because it's a stadium and it's hard to find like a residential neighborhood nearby. But we found one that was within walking distance, about a 17-minute walk to the stadium from the parking spot. And again, it's a stadium show, and you don't get down there 5 minutes for the show. You get down there with an hour to kill. So it definitely was a little bit of a hike, but whatever. I had to do it 2 days in a row. And that's the thing I'm talking about.
Hey, he got his steps in, everybody. He got his steps
2 days in a row. And that's why I don't like 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row in arenas easier if it's something close.
So you spent over an hour combined on those 2 days. So you have 17 there, 17 back. That's 30 minutes
plus we did on the second day, we actually walked to the new Texas Live, which is that new little entertainment venue that connects between AT&T Stadium and the new Globe Life Park.
I saw that.
There's bars and hangouts. We got to hang out there for a good half an hour before the show.
How was it? Was it good there, the in-between there?
It's a pretty cool spot. It's definitely, if you're going to hang out before a game and you're not going to tailgate, because clearly we didn't park in a lot, so we didn't essentially do the traditional tailgate.
That'd be fun to go catch a baseball game and a football game.
It's a cool spot to tailgate if you're not doing the official tailgates. If you're not in a lot with a grill and all that. If you're, just on your feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we were just on our feet. I had a cigar in hand and a drink in another hand. We're just on our feet. It was a cool place to hang out. It's outdoors, too, so it didn't matter about me smoking a cigar, or at least that's what I told myself.
No one said anything. No one probably cared.
Nobody cared. It was just a cool place to get the vibes and head into night 2 of WrestleMania. But night 1, this year WrestleMania, definitely, last year felt very generic. And last year felt, each night felt different. I felt like this kind of felt like two shows that kind of worked together, but each night at the same time felt like WrestleMania. I feel like if Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns was on night 1, I would have been fine with that being WrestleMania. What are your takeaways watching from home?
Watching from home, I liked the way they did it. I liked the fact that you had, which we'll get to, the big surprise Saturday, which wasn't really a big surprise to me and so many others.
Wasn't a big surprise, but we questioned it, we wondered, and it came true.
I'll be honest. I like the fact that you have Brock and Roman Reigns on Sunday night, because that is supposed to be the main event of both shows. Because as we talked about on last week's episode, I think it was kind of like night 1, KO show kind of finishes it off to get ready for night 2.
Mm-hmm.
that's how I looked at it. I looked at it as, it's a 2-night event. So to me, I don't care if it's night 1 or night 2. It's WrestleMania weekend. So having Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, finish the show was fine. Unfortunately, as we saw, there might have been a little bit of an injury situation there, which shortened the match by all accounts out there. So that was the downside of it. But I thought the way WWE did the whole weekend, at least from a viewership, at home perspective, I thought they did a hell of a job.
Yeah, no, and I definitely like the fact that they didn't have any pre-show matches. That's a good thing because, again, the show's long enough. And to be honest with you, this is the kind of stuff, though, if I could just say real quick, in which another reason why I don't want 2-night WrestleMania is because fans think that WWE listens to them to an extent, but how did we get to needing a 2-night WrestleMania? Because WWE was very full of themselves and did what they wanted to do when it comes to booking the cards. And if you notice last year, each night ran from 8 to 11 o'clock. They were 3-hour shows, 6 hours in total for WrestleMania. People said, okay, it's better than 6 hours for one night. Break it up into 2 3-hour shows. This year turned into 2 4-hour shows.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, what is stopping? Nothing. Nothing is stopping. That's the answer. What is stopping WWE in the future from saying, hey, let's make each night 5 hours long? Let's make each night feel like WrestleMania before when they were long.
I hope they don't.
Nothing's stopping them.
I hope they don't.
What's stopping them from saying, let's have a 4-hour each night WrestleMania and then next year add some pre-show matches to it?
I thought the length on both nights was good.
I mean, it was the length of a traditional WrestleMania.
Minus the pre-show. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the pre-show.
Well, there was nothing on it.
Yeah, it was just them talking.
Yes.
I didn't even watch it. So for me, it started at 8 o'clock every, Saturday and Sunday night. Mm-hmm. So 4 hours, I'm good. That was fine.
It's just difficult for it to be 4 hours in the sense that it is 2 nights. That's why each night felt like WrestleMania. Last night, each night didn't feel like WrestleMania.
Both shows were good. Mm-hmm. Both shows were good. Unfortunate, one match got cut from the night 1 and went to night 2, which was the Kofi Kingston
Should have
match.
got cut altogether.
Yeah, well, it was a waste
it was
anyways.
a complete waste.
But also, I was kind of trying to figure this out, too. How does that match get cut? Where it got cut from night 1 to night 2. I mean, obviously, the match itself on night 2 wasn't great. But Boogs gets hurt on night 1, so that shortens that match. You're telling me you couldn't have fit that in?
I don't know if they necessarily shortened the match. I mean, I know he did get hurt, but I don't know if the match...
They said it was shortened. It was supposed to go a few more minutes. Maybe it wasn't...
Shortened by maybe a few minutes, yeah. I felt it didn't feel like it ended prematurely.
The only thing I can think of is, like, if it happens that short, then send Kofi out at that point. Kofi, that match. Because that match to me was... That was the one match where it was like, all right, time to go hit the head real quick, That's kind of how I felt.
And, I did feel like the first night, the problem, and again, maybe you could have made these both nights shorter. The problem is too many videos about what we're going to expect tomorrow. And then on night number 2, too many videos of what we had from last night. So the one major issue about 2-night WrestleMania is definitely the rewatchability. I mean, you can go back and watch WrestleMania 11 and you can say, well, this is crappy. And you can put it on with your friends and you can kind of like joke about it and do like a mystery theater commentary on it and just laugh because it's 2.5 hours or less then. And It's quick and easy to watch. It's something while you're vacuuming the house. But you're not going to go back and rewatch 6 to 8 hours of something.
No, here's the thing too. Like you just said, you get all these video clips. To me, that was like, I knew that was a perfect time to go get a drink or get a snack or something in my house because I don't need to watch what they did the last 3 months to set it up. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not even so much that. It was what the videos for the matches that weren't even that night.
Oh,
they were
for
like
sure.
For Pat McAfee and Austin Theory is tomorrow.
Why do we
Sami
have to put
Zayn
that
and
on?
Johnny Knoxville tomorrow?
We don't need. Here's the thing.
We're trying to sell tickets and trying to remind you got to watch again tomorrow. So it was like a preview for tomorrow.
Okay, then do it at the pre-show and maybe advertise the pre-show as the 30-minute version and say, all right, tonight here's our lineup for tonight. And oh, by the way, don't forget we have another night on. We have another night besides tonight. Something like that.
It's and Nick Khan, he said it very clearly. It's promotion. It's about
It's terrible. Okay, here's the thing.
They want to sell tickets to those who came Saturday night who were thinking about maybe Sunday.
It's a terrible promotion because as we watched AEW's most recent pay-per-view, we complimented it. It was match, so on and so forth. It wasn't match, 10 minutes of garbage, in my opinion. Next match. And here's the thing. Some of those highlights I felt were just about as long as the matches.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely made it so that each night had to be 4 hours long.
How did it feel from you? Like, did they show it inside the stadium? Like,
yes,
the same thing that we saw on TV?
Everything was the same. And I talked to somebody who's a big Dallas Cowboy fan who says the same thing. The one issue that you have with AT&T Stadium, because there's not really any issues that I have with that stadium, but the one issue that you have is kind of like an embarrassment of riches, as they would say. And that is, I sat one section closer. I was in the 300s last time I was there. I was in the 200s this time, which is essentially there's like 5 levels. So I'm in level 2 of 5.
Nice.
Right?
Yep.
But yet if I was in level 5 of 5 or level 2 of 5, or even if I was in level 1 of 5, it's the same view. You're watching the scoreboard. That scoreboard is too big. It's a big TV they put right in front of your face with everything that you could see on TV.
You're not gonna not watch.
You're not gonna not watch it. You're not gonna see when you have Vince McMahon and Stone Cold eye to eye on night number 2. You're not gonna just look at it like that. You're not gonna just look at it right there. I mean, you watch the entrances the way that they originally come because the screen doesn't have the entrances. It's got their video or their name, like The Undertaker or whatever, Triple H.
Yeah,
so you physically have to see him. But
it's like their Tron package. Yeah.
But once you get to the ring and it's got the TV camera on, I mean, it's tough not to watch it. So everything you could see at home was on the TV.
So so you caught yourself watching on the screen instead of watching the matches?
A lot of times, yes. I mean, I was watching the match, but I was watching on the screen and then watching on,
that's an expensive flight and everything just to watch on TV.
But you know what? I wouldn't regret it. And I knew this, and you know this about any stadium. It's all about everything else. The reason...
Yeah, you go for the atmosphere.
You know, somebody actually posted some Instagram or something out there about the nosebleed seats at the NCAA Final Four, and all these people were commenting like, I got a better view on my couch, and I got a better view at home, and I want to go down there. And here's the difference between going somewhere and watching it on TV. And it's the same. It's here. Watching it on TV is your Saturday is exactly your Saturday. It's a typical Saturday. You're mowing, you're raking the yard, you go to the grocery store, and then when it's time to watch the show, you sit on your couch and you watch the show.
I'm not going to disagree with that part of it.
Being there is not just physically being there that one time. If you went to New Orleans for the Final Four or you went to Dallas for WrestleMania, you woke up and it was WrestleMania. And it was WrestleMania until you went to bed. And then you woke up the next day and it was WrestleMania. It's in the streets. It's on the newspaper. It's on the radio. It's on the billboards. It's downtown, all on the marketing. It's when you go out to breakfast, you see the wrestling fans. When I went we went to this Deep Elam area, which is a big art district, and they had a big art festival. So we went to this place where they had they had like cider and stuff. You get cider flights and stuff. So my girlfriend wanted to go, so we went. We hung out there. And who's taking cider flights all to himself? Dewey Foley. Hanging out, just downing some ciders, and then heading back out in the street to check out the art. I mean, that's what I mean. It's wrestling. It's a festival of wrestling.
Sure. I mean,
yes, it's not just I got to AT&T Stadium, watch it, and then forgot about wrestling. Literally after AT&T Stadium, what did I do? In the middle of the night when everyone's resting asleep and it's 1 o'clock in the morning here, I'm downtown Dallas. I'm going into the store that's packed, that's got Undertaker walking in for a late night talk and panel session.
And by the way, we'll get to the surprise. A certain T-shirt that we were trying that
certain T-shirt that I went and tried to find at the store.
This guy was doing some shopping for me.
I went to the store right actually after it happened because of all these breaks we talk about.
Yeah.
There was a store right behind me, so all the Dallas Cowboy stores were transformed into on-site WrestleMania stores, and they did a good job. Like you didn't know they were Cowboy stores. We're not talking. This is just one of those tables you have at a house show where they got T-shirts. They made it a store.
Yeah, they took all
on
the
top
Cowboy
of
stuff.
the store they had in Dallas. This was another store, and I walk in and they had the Cody Rhodes. They were putting the Cody Rhodes shirts right on. You kind of wonder what they tell the staff who are working, like, hey, keep this box right here. We'll like let you know when you can put it out, kind of thing.
You know what? They probably have somebody like in management like stay by the box, and say if you open this you get fired, kind of thing. Like that's probably, it's got to be really strict. I will tell you that T-shirt of Cody Rhodes, I'm gonna snag it. That's a great shirt. And speaking of that, I mean, why don't we just talk about
Cody Rhodes? I mean, it was.
I mean, let's talk about it.
It was. I mean, a good. I thought maybe Vince's music was going to hit. He was going to come out there, going to do something a little more. But good on them to just kind of blacken the screen and just build the anticipation like a little bit. And then
how was the pop? How'd you feel?
I mean, the pop. I don't think it was as big as I expected. The pop was bigger for Stone Cold, I think. But it wasn't the Hardy Boys. That's still the all-time one, I think. But I mean, it was weird. It was like he's really here. This is really, because again, it's his music, it's his entrance, it's his name, it's the whole shebang.
And I told you, I told you it was going to happen.
I just don't believe it till we see it.
The whole presentation. That's what I was looking for. We all kind of knew Cody was coming, but like what Cody were we getting? And I'm so glad that they did the whole nightmare thing. Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm sitting there watching it. I wish I was recording myself watching it, so to speak, because like when you hear, wrestling has more than one, royal family. Once I heard that first little part, I'm like, oh shit, this is happening. Like, my wife was upstairs. She's like, can you keep it down? That was a little loud. Like, I was excited because yes, we knew he was coming, but the fact that he was there in the AEW presentation of Cody Rhodes,
yes,
that to me was fan-freaking-tastic. And I in the match itself, match of the night.
Who would have ever thought the first person to come over? Because we obviously knew all the people going to AEW, but the first person to come to WWE
Cody Rhodes.
would be Cody Rhodes. I could think of a million names that I would think that would come
Yeah.
to do the opposite when they get let go, and things
There
aren't
was
working out for
a
them.
list. There was a list going for a long time, at least in my my own head, of people from AEW that'll no. Hell would freeze over before they come. Cody Rhodes is on that list with Kenny Omega and the Young
And
Bucks.
and it's funny because Cody Rhodes has come out and said the last person he saw before he came out was Triple H. And he even said Triple H is his favorite wrestler. So the whole thing of the smashing the throne on his first night in AEW and all the bashing of Triple H, end of the day, it was pretty much, it wasn't in actual hatred. It was more just in trying to make his own way and trying to get away from that. And
Triple H knew
it worked out for Cody Rhodes.
It worked out because he went from irrelevant, so to speak, to being very relevant. You know what I mean? I know there was a tagline, I can't remember what they were saying. It was like denied or something undeniable, or it was something along those lines. But it's so true because he was stardust. He was doing essentially nothing in WWE. And he's like, you know what, the hell with this, cut me. And he made his way on the indie circuit and traveled the world and went to so many different organizations and wrestled. And let's be honest, he's making a hell of a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
So guess what? Whether we agree with it or not, I know some people are always going to dislike Cody Rhodes. That's just how it is because that's what happened. And that was the writing was on the wall. A lot of the fans of AEW were sick of Cody Rhodes because he was getting booed left and right. Like, they wanted him out the door. And you know what? I say, shame on you for that because Cody Rhodes is, I don't care. Yes, you got the Rhodes name, obviously. But Cody Rhodes is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world. He doesn't get enough credit for how good of a match that he can put on. And by the way, in my opinion, his match with Seth Rollins was the match of the night.
All right, so quickly, so that's your match of the night. What was your match of night number 2?
Ooh.
And what would be your match of the weekend?
To me, the match of the weekend was, I would still say Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. I would say match of night 2, I would have to say, ooh, that's a good one because I really enjoyed the whole Pat McAfee thing. I'm a little biased.
A lot of people really loved Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. A lot of people just enjoyed that. Overall, thought it was fun. Thought it was kind of encompassing of what WrestleMania is really supposed to be. The mixture of entertainment and wrestling.
What's the easy answer? Edge and AJ?
Edge and AJ was a decent match.
I don't think it was the greatest match.
It wasn't anything. It wasn't Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels or anything like that.
That was fun. Pat McAfee, that match was fun. I mean, Pat. I thought his performance against Adam Cole at NXT was better, to be honest with you. But still, Pat McAfee put out some good. He did some good work, and he took an ass beating from not only the boss, but also got stunned by Stone Cold.
I mean, the first night, the women's matches were pretty good. Charlotte Flair surprisingly retains. I wonder what is in future now for Ronda Rousey. Bianca Belair, who I thought would be the one that would lose, she ended up becoming the new champion, beating Becky Lynch.
I was not surprised.
Wondering now what the future holds for Becky Lynch.
You knew one was going to happen, so I wasn't really.
Yeah, neither Royal Rumble winner essentially ends up winning in their match. Definitely, to me, the Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns match, the gimmick of it being the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, that to me was just one of those promo taglines, similar to when they called Edge versus Randy Orton the greatest wrestling match ever. It wasn't even the greatest wrestling match of WWE that year. It didn't even win the award of Slammy.
It was a solid match.
So Brock and Roman, clearly, give it a cool thing, but yeah, it was a 12-minute, pretty quick. I feel like they've even had more exciting matches. I feel like Brock and Roman, I think at WrestleMania 34 was a more exciting match, more finisher kickouts.
But the most important thing, in my opinion, is Roman Reigns is still champ. He's the undisputed champ. I think you have to keep that allure of him being this longtime champ because every time he defends it is must-see TV at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And we'll find out going forward, obviously, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, both of them, the bookend shows that I both had tickets to. I felt the SmackDown for sure was a disservice to The Undertaker. We talked about this before, how this should have been the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I'm only doubling down on that. After going
100%.
to SmackDown, the crowd there was probably 80% full for SmackDown and then 100% full for the Hall of Fame. So I'm wondering if some people came in late for the Hall of Fame.
Or some people just said, the hell with SmackDown, it's a waste. I'll just wait till Taker's
Yes,
till
exactly.
the Hall of Fame.
Yes. So, and it proved to be exactly that. That was there was a time where there was 30 minutes straight of videos. Like they came back from commercial, they played a video for Brock and Roman, went to commercial, played a video for like Pat McAfee. There was like 30 minutes of nothing. Charlotte Flair came out and talked on the rampway. So I want to say there was a good almost full hour where nobody was even in the ring.
Yeah, see, that's a little
and the
ridiculous.
last match of the night was about 8:45, and that was the last match of the night. I mean, the next hour and 15 minutes was a promo and happy talk to end the show, and then a bunch of video packages in between. So a complete waste, and a complete waste too because of the Undertaker thing. Once he finally did come out to the Hall of Fame, and it was the first sold out Hall of Fame that I had been to ever, because the other ones have had trouble with attendance, but this was a full crowd. 15,000, whatever that place holds, for The Undertaker. And it's like, to me, again, what we talked about is how can you not put this on prime time on Fox? You put this waste of a SmackDown on where we have Happy Corbin and Drew McIntyre going off the air instead of The Undertaker in front of a sold-out crowd in Attitude Era, chanting, yelling, screaming. I mean, the place was the loudest. It was the loudest arena WWE I've ever been in, maybe. When he came out. I mean, it was Attitude-esque,
Really?
Attitude Era-esque.
Yeah.
When he came out, they didn't let him talk for 10 minutes. I mean, people were chanting and screaming. Like, how do you not put that on Fox? How do you not put that on your flagship television time?
Yeah, that was bad. That was they planned that poorly.
He's over here talking at 11:45 at night Eastern time on a streaming service, and in front of 15,000 when you put the 12,000 show on SmackDown.
Yeah, to me, it made no sense. I will say though, I mean, overall, I thought the Hall of Fame was.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame was great in the sense of everybody else was pretty concise, and then The Undertaker obviously got the decent time.
Scott Steiner didn't screw up either, so that was good.
He didn't screw up. He did take most of the time away from Rick Steiner. And then Monday Night Raw, the most disappointing Raw after.
Wait, you're not excited about Elias's little brother?
Yes, I felt like a noob because when Ezekiel's music hit, the guy next to me apparently thought he knew it was somebody else. And he's like, it's Ezekiel. I'm like, I don't know who Ezekiel is. Do you? And then all of a sudden when we're like, wait, it's Elias. And he's like, I guess I didn't know who Ezekiel was. I think he thought he was somebody from Ring of Honor or something like that. But yeah, that was strange. And I love how they actually played on it, though. How they don't, like Kevin Owens, like, Elias?
Yeah, he played. Well, and the other part is, too, it was like Ezekiel is taking over all of the social media and he just said, I'm taking over my big brother Elias's like his Instagram and all that stuff. I gotta tell you, somebody I saw it on the internet somewhere. You remember the show Rugrats?
Yes.
He looks like Tommy Pickles' dad. I saw the picture. I was like,
I thought he kind of looked like a little like Chris Masters.
A little bit, yes, he did. A little bit.
A little like that kind of look. But that was the highlight of the television portion of Raw. Raw is a 3-hour show, and yet it was a lot more promos of Bobby Lashley's not done with Omos yet, but this time MVP is going to obviously be with Omos as he turned. It seems like Cody Rhodes isn't done with Seth Rollins yet, as Seth Rollins came out. It seems that AJ Styles isn't done with Edge. It's like, I understand Backlash, you rehash some of the WrestleMania feuds, but the whole idea is something new. And with Roman Reigns coming out at the end, we still didn't get anything new.
No, we didn't get anything.
We got nothing new. And no Bayley, no Asuka, no The Rock at WrestleMania, and no new feuds, no Edge. No, I thought with
and no Brock Lesnar.
I thought maybe with Cody Rhodes, maybe Finn Balor's music could be hit. Obviously, after pretty much they treated him like he wasn't at WrestleMania. He was on the pre-show, like he was on the SmackDown pre-show, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And they treated him like pretty much he wasn't even there that weekend. He's not on any promotional materials. He's not on the cups. He's not on the banners.
Alexa Bliss wasn't even at WrestleMania weekend.
WrestleMania, she was on banners, but she wasn't even there. It's weird. Finn Balor was there at SmackDown, but on no promotions. And then Alexa Bliss was on promotions,
and wasn't
even there. So they could have, again, done something with them. They did nothing with any of them. The highlight, I think, of Raw was actually physically, I guess it was good that I was there because we got a Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes match after it went off the air.
How was it off the air?
And it was a decent match, and you got to see things you wouldn't see on TV, like Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes shaking hands beforehand. that kind of like good-spirited stuff. And then Cody Rhodes giving a cool like 20-minute promo after the match, talking about how he loves pro wrestling and pro wrestling fans, and asking where everybody was from, and asking if you're from Texas, asking if you're from Europe, getting chants and cheers,
Yep.
that kind of fun stuff, because they knew it was the WrestleMania crowd.
Sure.
But other than that, it did not feel like the Raw after WrestleMania.
No, are they saving it for SmackDown for Fox? Is that what they're doing?
I mean, maybe. I mean, you did see Braun Breaker win the championship back, which again,
That was a good match.
makes me happy that I didn't go to NXT Stand and Deliver on Saturday afternoon, which I feel like a lot of people probably didn't.
Well,
that was
yeah,
probably
especially-
one of the least attended shows of the weekend.
Especially after the results of NXT this week.
Yeah.
The tag titles got flip-flopped again.
Yeah.
So you put it on Raquel and Dakota, and then just a couple of days later, what's with the hot potato?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. So was it just a title change just to say you had a title change?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, it was, I watched a little bit of NXT this week. It was, and I speaking of Rick Steiner, I want to get on that really quick. Rick Steiner's being used in NXT now.
Yeah, Joe Gacy.
Yeah.
Good for him, because I'm familiar with his work in the indie scenes in the past.
I'm not on board with him. I just don't. I like the whole Rick Steiner piece of it. I'm not sold on Gacy. That's just
On
me.
him being, it looks like he's the new #1 contender, which is it's just pretty cool. I guess it's just pretty
he
cool
better
for me
not
because out
win.
of the NXT guys, I knew him and followed him a little bit prior to the NXT days. So knowing of him kind of thing, like similar to the Kevin Owens way back in the day, so it's just cool to now see him looks like he's going to be used. He looks like he's going to be in the main event picture.
Which is weird for me because there's so many other talents. And I got to get your thoughts on this, too. Speaking of NXT really quick. So 2/3 of Imperium's getting called up, and you're leaving Fabian Eichner down in NXT. So does that mean he gets cut soon?
Or retooled.
Which means he's going to get cut.
Yeah, because they don't know how to retool people.
Well, that's the thing. They don't know how to retool. So you have, I was going to say Marcel Bartel is getting called up, and then Walter Gunter, whatever you want to, whatever the hell you want to call him, they get called up. They're getting called up to the main roster. I just feel like it's disservice. Why can't you bring all three up? Well, what is so bad?
Because when you
about
get to
Eichner?
the main roster, they act like you're coming from another company.
That I don't get it though, because Bartel and Eichner, they were good together. They were good. They were a hell of a tag team. And Imperium as a trio, I thought has way more substance than you just bring up 2/3 of Imperium.
Yeah.
Now. It makes no sense. I just feel bad because I feel like Marcel Bartel is going to be. I think he's going to be on the chopping block. We're going to be talking about him. I would say by year's end that he's not in WWE anymore.
Do you like back
hate saying
into the WWE realm? Do you like the speaking of groups? Edge is looks like he's. I don't know if they're going to call it the Brood, but it looks like he's starting a new little group.
What, Brood 2.0? We going original?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was interesting. It's obviously we saw that you're not doing anything else with Damian Priest. You give him a cool storyline with Finn Balor, and then you let it go nowhere.
I think this is great.
So do
for his
something
career.
with him.
I think this is great for Damian's career. I think Rhea Ripley. I think that's another name that's been circulating. I think she's in a spot where she's kind of floundering. I think this will be good for her as well. Any other names that that are circulating? I just know those. I just know those two off the top of my head.
I mean, I feel like Alexa Bliss. I mean, could fit into that if they're going to keep her kind of storyline going a little bit.
You know who else could do it, but I don't think that will do it is Liv Morgan.
Yeah. I mean,
That's not a bad. I mean, realistically, I think Damian Priest. I think this is something we're gonna look back and say this is something that saved his career in WWE, in my opinion, and that's no disservice to Damian Priest because WWE just doesn't know how to use anybody apparently, and I think same thing with Rhea Ripley. I think this is another thing that you're gonna look back and say this is what we needed for Rhea Ripley to turn things around because let's be honest, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley have just been kind of floundering for a little bit. I mean. That's just my take on it. This is no disservice to the talents themselves because we all see it. We all know how good they are collectively. You got to do something with them, and I think if Edge supposedly is going to be around for another 3 years, is what the reports are out there. So if this is a long-term group faction,
I don't know
like
if it'd be. I mean, if he's around, that doesn't mean the group's going to be around. But
I know, but this at least it's not like we're going to put them together for like 3 months, like Retribution, and then be done with them.
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, because who knows? I mean, WWE could easily just do that as well. I mean,
It is WWE.
Never say never with WWE. Some takeaways from WrestleMania to finish things out. I will say the entrances for this year. I mean, better than last year because WrestleMania last year I just felt was very generic. But this year now that it felt like WrestleMania, I feel like the entrances were a little lackluster. Nothing too great. Maybe obviously because we're in a post Triple H, post Undertaker era where those guys had the best entrances. They got to find new guys to kind of take those spots. So no real great entrances. I mean, they just like a few little coming out in cars, that kind of stuff. But nothing too grand there. The stadium was at capacity. I can say that much. And everyone always loves to talk stadium attendance numbers and figures and giving away tickets. I don't know what tickets were free. I don't know what tickets were paid for, but I knew that the stadium was at capacity. They set up the Titantrons and everything like that, so they were blocking some of the sections for the entranceway for sure. But any seats that were available to be sold were sold. There was no sectioned off seats. There was no TV side only. There was none of that. It looked like and felt like a WrestleMania every night in a stadium. If that was a one night only WrestleMania, I would have said it felt like WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm not even going to put their name out. You know, these faux.
But it doesn't even matter.
Reports.
So what if it's
because that's the thing that irritates me about these faux wrestling experts. You know, I'm not even going to give their names because we all know the names. Oh, they're like it's like a tongue-in-cheek little approach to their attendance. It's like literally you were there and you were like, yeah, no, that. You know,
they like to say, well, okay, some were given away. Who cares what's given away?
Was the place packed? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
And
that's
who
all
cares who got their tickets for free or whatever? The fact of the matter
WWE's going to make money, I promise.
Yeah, the fact is that people were there, whether they got tickets for free or they were giveaways, there were promotions, they were buy one get one frees. It doesn't matter. AT&T Stadium was full. Was it full?
Hey, just be careful of that certain niche demographic they always talk about. That's the most important number, guys.
It was more full for the last WrestleMania there because the entranceway provided more opportunities for more sections for seats, essentially all the way around. But the idea is they got way more than they should have last time, and they got 75,000
each night.
Each night, and I think that's a legit number, whether you talk paid or not. I think that's a legit number. If you say that place can fit 70, if the stadium itself can fit 75,000, forget like standing room only, then yeah, I feel that because there was some standing room only even too. There were people standing around as well. Yeah,
yeah, I think I thought the numbers were legit, and when we talked, you were there, your boots on the ground. It's not like me, here in Syracuse, New York, talking about it. You were there. You were at the event, and both nights, you said both nights looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, for sure. So both nights were pretty full, and it was a good experience. Can't wait for WrestleMania next year, but we got to be moving on, and it's. Backlash is the next show coming up, WrestleMania Backlash, but we'll have more to talk about next week on maybe even some more WrestleMania takeaways if I can remember some things because it's just been so much travel, so much going on, and you got to, remove yourself a little from the situation before you can think a little more clear. And crazy to think a show happening this weekend. We talked about it obviously in length because the origin show happened here in Rochester, New York in the nearby city. But XPW is back this weekend. Their second show in California, where it all started in California, XPW California. We didn't know if this would come after the first show was pretty lackluster, and then they were scheduled for the second show to be like a couple weeks later and then pulled it. But maybe they just need a little more retooling, a little more advertising. But it's going to happen this weekend, the King of the Death match and all that. So maybe we'll talk that next week and whatever else happens in the world of wrestling. For Brandon, I'm Jarad. This has been another edition of the Heel of the Face podcast, and we will talk to you next week.